Okay, we're doing Chav Gimel. Susie, could you close this door? So, Kol Talmid Chacham she'ena noikem v'noiter kanachash. A Talmid Chacham that doesn't, if someone embarrasses him or insults him, and he doesn't sort of have revenge against the person, that means because we talked about Shola Melech, who was Moichel al his covet, even though he was the king. And even a Talmid Chacham shouldn't do it. If somebody embarrasses him, he should hold the guy as an enemy. Ain't no Talmid Chacham. So, Freiti Gemor Vaksiv Lo Tikom V'Lo Titor. I mean, the Torah says you're not supposed to have revenge. Our answers are Hu B'Momanu Dichsiv. That has to do with financial things. For example, Tanya, Ezohi Nekima, what's considered Nekima of Ezohi Natira? Nekima, Amar Lo Ashlenimi Magalcha. Person knocks on his neighbor's door and says, loan me your scythe. Amar Lo Lav, no, I'm not going to loan it to you. Lamachar, the guy who didn't want to loan the scythe comes to the other guy. Amar Lo Hu Ashileni Kardin, loan me your pickaxe. Amar Lo, Eini Mashilcha Kederch Shelo Yishaltani. I'm not going to loan my pickaxe to you the way you didn't loan me the site that I asked for. Zui Nekima. That defines Nekima. And Zui Natira. What's the tira? Amar Lo Ashleni Kardumech. One neighbor goes to the other and says, loan me your pickaxe. Amar Lo. He says, no. Lamachar, the guy who didn't want to loan the pickaxe, says to the neighbor, Amar Lo, Hashileni Chalucha, loan me your coat. Amar Lo, yeah, Hilich, take it. Any kamosach shaloisha. I'm not like you that didn't want to loan me an item. I'm going to loan it to you. Zui natira. So we see the Indian of Nekim of Natira is by mominus, not by personal negias. Afraid more of it's hard to go for low. What if a person inflicts pain on somebody? He can't be noikum v'nita v'atanya. The person who's embarrassed but doesn't strike back at the guy. Or shomin cherpos and ve'en mishivin. A person listens to insults and doesn't respond. He accepts suffering. So alena kosu voimer, the oyavav ketseis hashemesh b'gvuraso. The pasuk in Shoftim, and it's praiseworthy that you're not supposed to. How could you say you're not a Talmid Chacham if you're not noikim v'noiter? Here it implies that it's praiseworthy if you don't respond. So you're not supposed to respond, but you're supposed to keep the fact that this guy is an enemy in your heart. A person who doesn't stand on ceremony means people insult him, but he doesn't strike back. You know, his sins are forgiven. The mafaisu. Well, if the person asks for forgiveness, you're allowed to forgive him. But if he doesn't ask for forgiveness, you're allowed to hold it against him in your heart. So when we talked about the lottery, because we said when they would run up the ramp, one guy kicked the guy and he fell down, broke his leg. So they instituted a lottery, and they would stand in a circle. Let's say of 30 kohanim, and he would tell everybody stick out a finger, and he would come up with a number like 62, and they go around counting everybody's finger. When they got to 62, that guy won the prize. So they would put one or two fingers out. So the more to understand, what do you mean? Well, if you can stick two fingers, you certainly can stick one finger. Why did you have to say achas u'shtayim? Aruch is a loy kasha. Kan bebori. That means a bori normally puts out one finger. There were people, let's say, who had rheumatoid arthritis. So to put out one finger, you can't put out one finger. Both fingers come. So b'choyle, he's allowed to put out two fingers.
Yeah, but could they perform the avodah if they had that chisur?
Yeah, because it might be that it's hard to put out one finger by itself. The other finger sort of gets dragged. And he might still be able to do the avodah that way. And v'hatanya, and there's a brisa to support that. Achas moitziin. Normally you put out one finger. Shtayin ein moitziin. B'medvar when b'bori. That's by a healthy person. Because a choila cannot stick out one finger. The second one comes after. V'yichidin moitzim shtayin. Talmidei Chachamim can put out two. However, in moinin lahem ela achas, you count even the two fingers as one. Freiti more vein moinin lahem achas. What do you mean? Vatanya ein kemotzi lo shlish, the lo gudel mitnei ramoy. You don't put out the third finger. Means this is the third finger, right? The third finger from the index finger. The low gudel and not the long finger, mitnei ramoy, because they if they would see a count coming close to where they're going to end, they might stick. They only had one finger out. All of a sudden, they stick the other finger out. So you're not allowed to put those fingers because those can be very distant from the other finger. It looks like two people. However, im hoitzi shalish, if he put out that ring finger, moinin lo, you can count it. If he puts out the gudel, ein moinin lo. V'lo od, ela shaloikim namamuna bepakia. The Mishnah already said don't put out the middle finger. And if you do so, you get malchus with the pakia from the mamuna. And my morning lo nami achas. So also, but you would count it only as one. My pakia, amrav madra. Now, what's a madra? My madra, amrav papa. Mitroka the tide of seek ratio, like the Arabs who would ride horses, it's like a horse tail whip. And that's what the mamuna would strike them with. Amar Abaya, ben bivoy mamuna lapakia. There's a Mishnah that describes the name of the Kohanim that were appointed on various things. So Ben Bivoy was mamuna on this pakia. Amin upsilta. I thought he was in charge of making the wicks for the menorah. Kidisnan mi balei mechnaseh Kohanim, from the worn out clothes of the Kohanim. From their belts, they would tear them up. They would use them as wicks for the menorah. But kivin the shemana le detanya v'lo shalokim ramana b'pakia. I mean, in my pakia nagdot. So it's a stick that was used to punish people in the Beis Hamikdash. Ma'aser shayu shneim shavin. The Ratzin v'oilim bakebes. The Mishnah told us about a race that they ran up the ramp to get to the whoever would be there first. Ton Rabbanon. Ma'aser b'shnei kohanim shayu shneim shavim. Two kohanim were running up; they were equal. The Ratzin v'oilim bakebes. Kadam echad melasachar ba'amish el chavero. Not al sakin v'takalo b'libo. The guy stabbed him in the heart, so he wouldn't win. Amar Rab Tzadok Amalasa Ulam. Rab Tzadok stood on the steps leading into the Ulam. Amar Achenu Beis Yisrael Shimu. Harei Oimer Ki Matzei Chalel Badama V'Yatzus Kenecha V'Shovtecha. That if you find a dead body and you don't know who killed him between two cities, so there's a kingdom of the two cities, they have to do the process of Egla Rufa. Anu Amilavi Egla Rufa. So here, it's ala ir or ala azoras. Is it the Zakanim of Yerushalayim or the Zakanim of the Azora? Go kolam b'vchia. Everyone started crying. Bo aviv shel tinok. So the father of the kohen that got stabbed, umatzo kishum afarper, saw that he was still moving. Amar areu kaparaschem. You guys are saved. Adayin b'nim afarper v'lo nit masakin. My son is still alive, therefore the sakin did not become tamei. Now this is not a good story. It in this generation, it was more important for them that the sakin remained tahor than the death of his son. V'cheinu omer v'gam dam noki shofach Menashe harbe me'od, ad asher miles Yishalayim peh lapeh. Menashe HaMelech killed innocent people until, the blood was flowing until mouth to mouth. Now, the Gemara wants to know, hey, Maisa Kodim, which story happened first? The Mishnah told us a story about two people running up the ramp. One guy pushed the other guy, and he fell and broke his leg. Now we have the story of one coin stabbed the other coin. So which happened first? Did this case of the stabbing hard come first? Understand. If based on that they didn't misakein a lottery, so then on the next case, anishba raglo takinu. So because the next case was a broken leg that they did, l'chora, they should have done it right away. The case of the guy who broke his leg, that happened first. But that can't be, because Kivin Takinu Paisa, because our Mishnah said that after the case of the broken leg, the Chachamim established the pious, then there would have been no race. So what's going on here? Really, the case where the guy got stabbed is the first historical case. But they figured this is like a crazy guy. This is a unique event. It's not going to happen again. But then it happened the second time where one of the Kohanim pushed the guy and broke his leg. They saw that Mamish was leading to Sakana Nefoshes. Then Takinu Rabbanon Paisa. Okay. Amad Rab Tzadik al Maila Sa'ulam v'Amar Achenu Beit Yisrael Shimu Arei Oimer Ki Matzei Chalal Badamo Anon Al Milavi Al Ir Al Azor. So he said, if this is a case of Egla Rufa, who's going to bring? Is it on the ear or on the Azora? But the Gemara questions the whole thing. Yushalayim Basasiu Egla Rufa? Can you bring an Egla Rufa if this happens in Yerushalayim? Natanya. Asar Dvarim Nemru B'Yerushalayim. There are 10 attributes of Yerushalayim. V'zu achas mehem. Eina mavia Egla Rufa. Because Egla Rufa is only brought in areas where there's Lirishta, where the Shvatim inherited the land. Because the Pasuk says, Ki matzei chalal badama Lirishta. But Yerushalayim was not Yorish. This Mandomer holds that lo nischal kol Shvatim. This is a machlokas that we learned before. Some hold Yerushalayim was nichlak between Binyamin and Yehuda. And some hold that Yerushalayim was like an international city, was not belonged to everybody in Klal Yisrael. The other part that the Gemara doesn't understand, what do you mean Egla Rufa? Lo noda mihikau ksiv. The case of Egla Rufa is a case where we don't know who the murderer was. But here we know who killed this other guy. He did it like in a homiletic way, in a drasha way. He knew that it would arouse people to cry. The father of the one who was stabbed saw that the person was still alive. Omar, my son is still alive. They were more concerned about the Tumah v'Tahara than of the death of the son. Is it that murder became cheap? But the level of Tumah v'Tahara remained where it was before. No, murder remained a problem of al taras kelim idchamira, or maybe the level of chumra by taras kelim went up. So Toshma midikonosiv la talmuda, because the Mishnah immediately quoted a pasuk v'gam dam naki shavach Menashe, the Menashe Melech also killed many people. Shma min hashvichas dami with the zal. It was murder that became regular and not unusual. And V'taras Kelim Kidakaima Kaima. And the Inyan of Tumah V'tara remain the same. Torah Rabbanon, we go back to the Mishnah. So we said that Trumas Hadeshen, it says Uforshat V'lovash B'gadim Acherim B'tzias Hadeshen. The Kohen has to put on special clothing to do the Trumas Hadeshen. Shomeni Kederech Yom HaKippurim. Sounds like Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol, Shaposh Big Day Kodesh for Lovish, Big Day Chol. That he removes the Big Day Kodesh from the golden, his regular golden kalim to the Big Day Lava. So maybe here as well, Shapoisha Big Day Kodesh for Lovish, Big Day Chol. This Kohen takes off his regular avoda clothing and wears his clothing that he's going to go home with. Talmud Loimar, no. Ufashatas kadav lavash kadim acherim, mekish b'gadim shaloi v'shel b'gadim shapoishet. There's a hekesh between the b'gadim he's going to remove, which are regular big day kahuna, and the b'gadim he's going to put on. Ma'alahalim big day kodesh, avkan big day kodesh. So this teaches us that the avoda of Trumas Hadeshen had to be done with the big day kodesh. Imkein matum loimar acherim. So what does it mean? V'lovash b'gadim acherim. Chusimehem. That means even if they're less expensive. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Acherim v'hoitzi teaches me another din. Limed ala kohanim bali mumin shekshim lo yitzi adeshen. That even a kohen who's a bal mum cannot do the avodah. This is an avodah that he can do. Okay, Omar Mar, let's analyze this. We say acherim pchusim beh. What do we mean by acherim? Less expensive. Can you tell Rabbi Shmuel? Tell Rabbi Shmuel. Begodim shabishal ben kedela rabbi. If you have a servant and he's in the kitchen whipping up a dinner for his master, lo yimzuk ben koisel rabbi, and his clothing are all dirty, he's not going to then serve the wine to the master. So similar here, he should wear when he cleans out the ashes, he shouldn't wear those same clothing when he eventually does the avodah. Just like there's a machlokes in terms of whether it's different begadim or begadim pchusim, just like the machlokes is by removing the ashes outside of the azara, kach machlokes baroma. It's the same machlokes regarding lifting the ashes from the mizbech. But Rav Yochanan no machlokes poitzah. That there's a shaila. Maybe it is avodah, maybe it's not an avodah. But lifting the ashes from the mizbech, everybody knows that's an avodah. Then you need to wear the big day kodesh. My time in Reish Lakish. Because if Haramas Hadeshen is an avodah, yeshach avodah sheksher b'shnei kelim, is there an avodah that because it says v'lavasha kohen midovad, he wears his shirt. Sounds like he's only wearing two clothing, the bod and the mechnasayim, the shirt and the pants. So there's no avodah that you get away with only two. So he holds that part is not an avodah. However, Rabbi Yochanan, Gali Rachmana B'Ksoros U'Mechnosim B'Adilim Mitznefes Favnei. The Torah tells you these two clothing, but it doesn't mean he doesn't wear his hat and his belt. He wears the hat and the belt. So Ma'ishnahani, why did the Torah only talk about those two? Oh, it comes to teach me another halach. Mido vad, mido kimidosa. That means the shirt has to fit him perfectly. Can't be too small or too big. And Michnasei vad comes to teach me there's no underwear. He wears his pants directly on his body. Shenamar u Michnasei vad yibash al b'saro. Reish Lakish, how does he learn these dinim? Mido kimidoso. Midav ke rachman v'loshen mido teaches me the same thing. And he doesn't learn it out from Michnasei vad. He learns that has to be on his skin. Now we're gonna suggest that this machloikas between Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish was an earlier machloikas between Tanoim. It says al b'saro matam edlomar yilbash. If it says the clothing is on his flesh, then what do we mean yilbash? Lavim it's nefes fa'avneit la'aroma div Rabbi Yehuda. He holds you have to wear the hat and the belt. You need all four clothing. According to Rabbi Yehuda. No, you only need two. And this comes to teach me something else.
No, I'm done in 1 minute.
The rabbi's big day kohen God will be on Kippurim sheksher l'kohen hedyot. That the big day lavon that a kohen God wears on Yom Kippur could be used next year by a regular kohen. Rabbi doesn't agree. Shtei tshuvas b'davar chada dav neter shel kodol lo zeh av neter shel kohen hedyot. Rabbi holds that the gartel of the kohen gadol was made out of not cloim, and the avnei of a kohen hedyot was cloim. So it's not the same. They can't wear the same garment because the avnei is different. The odd, how we have a principle, mylin bekodesh v'loy moridin, right? Begodim shenishtamsha ben kedusha chamor tishtamish ben kedusha kala. Could it be true that the begodim that the kohen gadol wears on Yom Kippur is going to be used by a regular kohen hedyot? No, that can't be. And Lamatam Adom Yilbosh, the rabbis is ashchakim that even not the begodim cannot be torn, but if they've been used a little bit, they can be used again. Okay. Stop.
Yeah, but Talmidei Chachamim, a Kohen's considered Talmid Chacham. You shouldn't.
Well, it cannot have a spot on it. It cannot have a dirt on it. But shchakim means they're not brand new.
By the way, do we learn that Talmidei Chachamim can't have a spot on this from this Gemara?
No, I think there's a Gemara that teaches us that.
Yeah, there's a Gemara that teaches it, but maybe they learned it out from the Avodah in the Beis Mikdash that you shouldn't do it. Basically, Oved Hashem when you're Talmid Chacham. So,
Well, here it doesn't talk about your clothing being dirty. It talks about shchakim. Shchakim means
they shredded.
They're used. Not torn. They can't be torn.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll call. Okay. Where's Mario, Johnny? Is he not going to be there tonight? Mario.
You muted.
Johnny. Oh, Johnny.
You muted. Johnny, you're muted. Johnny.
I'll be back. I'm sorry. I'll be back in a minute. I'm recording it. Okay.
You recorded this. And you're going to record. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll call back in a minute too. Hi, Kyle.
Bye.